You can have some great fun doing spoonerisms of famous book titles. So, Animal Farm becomes Fanimal Arm. Funny, right? Wind in the Willows becomes Wind in... Oh, that's the same. A Tale of Two Cities becomes A Sale of Two Titties. That's a good one, isn't it? And The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn become The Adventures of Welcome to the Whaling Fighters podcast.
I've been looking forward to this episode.
Have you?
Yes.
Yeah, I have.
Is that just because you've missed us terribly?
Partly, but also because in all the years we've been doing this podcast, I have gone from not even knowing what flash fiction is to really
being a world-leading expert. Wow.
Not even close.
What a journey.
I'm just looking forward to passing judgment on Tom for a change.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So my two favourite things
Yeah.
we get to do this week, because Dave and I are going to be critiquing Tom's flash work.
Yeah, and it kind of came about because I'd entered two pieces into the same competition, and one got accepted and one didn't get accepted. And it kind of raises a question. I wasn't really sure why, to be honest. Obviously, I thought they were both rubbish. But it's like a question about how do you know if something is good? How do you trust your instincts? Do you have instincts, or because you've written it, you're too far into it, you can't tell the difference?
Well, yeah. I mean, ultimately, it doesn't matter, does it? What you think is entirely irrelevant because the judge's decision is final.
But then that makes it doubly difficult if you're saying, well, what you think doesn't matter, you know nothing. Because you do have to judge them to say, oh, I'll send that one, or that one still needs more work.
I thought it was interesting what you said in your email to us when you sent them, because obviously it was a while after you'd sent them off to their respective competitions, whatever, and you said something like, obviously now, in the cold light of day, I want to completely rewrite them.
Yes,
and I thought that's interesting because obviously, we talk about putting things in drawers and then bringing them out weeks later to see if they're any good, and you get a bit more objectivity. What was your immediate feel after? Obviously, you didn't feel entirely comfortable with them, but what was it? Could you put your finger on it?
I couldn't. I'm hoping this week's episode will be the thing that helps me.
Okay.
I genuinely have a problem with not knowing when an edit is finished. I'm not sure I know the difference between sort of tweaking and improving a story versus just changing one thing for another of exactly equal value, but is just different.
Well, here's another question then. If, let's say, so you've looked at these in the cold light of day and thought that you want to rewrite them. If, however, one of them had actually won the competition, do you think you'd still want to rewrite it?
I don't know. There's nothing specific in them that I think, this is terrible. But yeah, it's just... Maybe it's because they were written quite quickly, so they weren't. It's not something I've been. It was. Oh, this competition exists. Quick, better write something. Oh, they said that one was shit. Quick, write another one.
Were you close to the deadline with both of them?
Yeah. Pretty much.
Right. Focuses the mind, doesn't it?
It does. And I always think that's our collective writing upbringing of writing radio ads, where that kind of thing happens quite frequently. That's a muscle that we've built up over. That's something we can do, isn't it? That's a
tossing off.
Just shit something out quickly.
It's it levels the playing field very quickly, doesn't it? It means if everyone's doing it last minute, then I've got a chance.
Yeah.
So I don't know really. I'm just like I said, I'm hoping that we can put our heads together and we can come up with some kind of answer. We can say, yes, that one was that one got accepted because, like, oh, yes, of course. I can take that forward into my writing. But no pressure, chaps. That's what we need.
We're back again. I expect you're pretty chuffed. I know you missed us, but it's just that sometimes we must go away and think up more stuff. Don't want to lose our listeners' trust. You know our podcast's like a stuffed melted cheese crust, so hot you're gonna combust. And this week is gonna be class, 'cause Tommy's smashing out 2 juicy portions of flash. We're gonna see if they make a splash or whether they're just massively trash. Let's hear those stories, then let's make a start. Let's listen carefully, then pick them apart. Will we break Tommy's heart? He's hoping we're just gonna say, well done, Tommy, that's great, you really nailed this and that one. So proud of you, son. But what are the chances that we will? 'Cause we're the failing writers, you should know the drill. Success don't come in a pill. If it did, I wouldn't be writing silly ditties still.
What should we do then? Should we pull them apart piece by piece, one at a time?
Well, I reckon everybody wants to hear at least one of them right now. So
Yes.
why don't you kick us off
Okay.
with a random one?
Heads or tails?
Tails.
Tails, then. That's a little story I penned called Dimparchio. Not the uncharted wilds of the Amazon or unforgiving tundra of the outback, a small bookshop in North Wales, but the icicles spearing down my back and small clammy hands dancing around in rough canvas pockets didn't seem to care for the difference. It was the holiday when we got the sweatbands with the band names on, from a sandy-stepped seaside shop which smelled of warm, faded plastic. My sister got Aha, my brother Simple Minds. I don't remember mine. But now, 2 shops down, without warning, I was all alone in the bookshop. Breathing, walking, barely breathing. I made it to the next room and the next. Nothing. No mum. No dad. Gone. So, would I just live here now? Would someone adopt me? Should I learn Welsh? I should probably learn thank you and hello at least. I already knew Dimparchio was no parking because Dad said it in a funny voice every time we saw the sign. Back then, she didn't even register my panicked 6-year-old face popping up in the sports and recreation section, limpetting to her side and enveloping myself in her fragrance, a fledgling retreating to the comfort of the nest. A lifetime later, if she needed to, she could still remember my sweatband said Dire Straits. But instead she looks me dead in the eye and asks if I'm going to be visiting her. Tell her again, I'm already here. She smells different. And I wonder if it would have hurt less to have lost her in a small bookshop in North Wales.
Just out of interest, Dave, do you know which one of these did won and which one of them didn't?
I don't. I have no idea.
Okay.
Sorry, can I just stop you there, John? I think the use of the word won
I couldn't think what the word was. What is the word?
has maybe gone a little bit too far down the road.
Okay, but it did kind of win.
Squeaked through.
Right, it made it into the winning group.
It got published, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's just say.
So it did. It won.
Okay, yeah.
Joint
Joint first with
first. There
40
you
or
go.
50 others, yeah.
Nothing
fine.
wrong with that.
Yep.
So you don't know, Dave?
I have no idea.
Okay, so that's cool. So we'll get to that in a bit.
Do you know, John?
I do. Unfortunately, yeah.
Oh.
But we'll get there in a minute.
Shall I make? I'll make my guess after we've heard the second one.
Yeah.
Well, do you want a few words from us first of all?
Yeah, go for it. Yeah, let's see.
Because
where
I've
we
got
get
some
to.
questions for you as well, Tommy.
Okay.
I was going to say this is a lovely little window into a moment in time, isn't it? Which is exactly what I think Flash should
That's
do.
what Flash is meant to be, isn't it? That's
Yeah,
what I was
yeah,
thinking.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Chuck you into
Yeah.
a scene, let you kind of soak it up briefly, and then whisk you away again. And it actually, do you know what? It kind of reminded me of a little bit of a couple of things you've written. I don't mean like the actual story, but I mean it as a good thing. It's almost like you're developing a sort of a house style, but it has a lovely mix of nostalgia and melancholy.
Pretty much my day-to-day life, that, John. So I'm not surprised it gets reflected. Just listening to 90s music and thinking, oh, everything's a bit rubbish now, isn't it? So, yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. That the thing, what was it you wrote a while back, Tommy? I think the second round of the NYC Midnight.
Yeah, no, I know.
It was like a fantasy thing, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Similar vibes, but also your ambulance short story as well.
Right, yeah.
Similar vibes. But what's nice about it, I think, like the nostalgic thing, is that it has this feeling of being drawn from authentic experience, which I think makes really good Flash. Do you know what I mean? Because it feels like it is a real moment.
But it also a moment that is quite easy to resonate.
Yes.
Like that sandy-stepped seaside shop which smelled of warm, faded plastic is a very, I think, common memory.
It's literally every holiday in the 1980s, isn't it?
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah. And the experience of when you're 5 and you look around and you're in the Debenhams underwear department and your mum's not there.
Yeah.
And We've all been there.
None of it fits.
All been there.
Yeah.
But yeah, you brought that to life very nicely.
Yeah.
That line, the breathing, barely breathing, it's very nice. And that the kid logic as well of maybe having to learn Welsh.
Yes.
I thought it was very good, very strong.
So would I just live here now? But I like the way that it also, after all of that, it takes a very severe turn just in the last paragraph.
Where did that come to you then, Tom? Then and there? Or was that part of the start, if you know what I mean? Do you know where you were heading? Or was that like, ooh, hang on?
I think I probably did, yeah. I think I did, yeah. I think I was after some weighty payoff, I think, rather than just leaving it floating.
Like you knew what it was going to be, or you just going, I'm heading this direction, I'm not quite sure what it is yet until I get there?
I don't know.
I can't remember. It was a long time ago, so it's understandable.
But I think it says a lot about the sort of vagaries of memory, I think, because it's obviously we're talking about a sort of a mum suffering from severe memory loss, dementia, Alzheimer's, that sort of thing. Her memory's kind of changed. But also, like, his memory is quite interesting. The way, like, he's in that situation, visiting his mum, who isn't entirely sure what's going on, and what it reminds him of somehow is this holiday when he was 6 years old. So I think it says quite a lot in a short space of time about how memory works and how weird memory can
how
be.
it triggers and stuff. I think I wanted to put that smell thing in as an echo of that from the two different.
Yes.
And that idea that people do smell different when they're ill.
Yeah, it's a good line now.
Also, one thing I wanted to ask Tom was how long you spent thinking about the band names.
There was no time at all there because those are based on actual fact.
Yeah, they felt very authentic then.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure those are...
But that's odd because they fit the story quite well.
They do, don't they? I never even thought of that, Dave.
Well, talking about memory and Samantha goes, aha, and simple minds, and the fact that he was in dire straits when he got lost. So I thought...
No, obviously, they know they're carefully... I didn't think Kajagoogoo and Bucks Fizz worked the same, so I used a bit of poetic license there.
Yeah, be hard to get Kajagoogoo on a 6-year-old sweatband.
It'd have to be on a headband, that, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. Well, that goes to show you something, doesn't it? I think I mentioned before on the podcast, the times in your English literature class where the teacher's going, and this is what the writer meant. This is why he picked these.
Yes.
Carefully selected these band names.
Exactly. Well, that's exactly the sort of bit that the judges may well have looked at and gone, a lot of thought has clearly gone into the selection
He's
of
trying
these band
too hard
names.
here, isn't he? Hey? Bloody hell, he's overworked this.
No, I think they're nodding. They're nodding knowingly there. They're liking that.
Well, more fool them because I didn't even bloody mean it. Shows what they know.
Going back to the cold light of day thing and wanting to rewrite them, what did you think there was anything, like rereading this now, did you think there was anything lacking from it? What would you change about it if you could?
I think for this one, it was in the flash fiction world, whether that gear change at the end was a bit too much, or whether it should have just been hinting more. Do you mean like leaving a bit more hanging? Yeah,
or maybe I was thinking like tied more carefully into the story before. Does that make sense?
Yes, that's what I mean. Yeah, so it maybe just more subtly handed.
Yeah, it only felt slightly bolted on because, do you know what I think it was? It was the fact that the relationship with the mother, or the character of the mother, hadn't really been massively explored.
Yeah.
And I felt like you had space in the words to do a bit more of that. And then that turn at the end would have kind of had more of an impact.
Yeah, I remember thinking that when I was writing it, of whether to include other family.
Because we don't feel like we've lost anything because we didn't know the mother to start with. Whereas if you'd given us a few little tiny details about her, by the end, when we lose her, it hurts more.
Because the one part of it that seems sort of like superfluous in a way is the very start, about not the uncharted wilds of the Amazon or unforgiving tundra of the outback, like that. If something up there could have tied into something at the end, it might have.
Yeah, I thought bin that. Get rid of that paragraph. Don't need it.
You're actually, John. That entire paragraph could vanish without any.
Yeah, because
nice.
It doesn't add anything because at the beginning you don't have a reference to anything. You don't know who this is. You don't know why there's icicles in a shop. Do you know? You don't know the age of the main character.
Yeah.
So a lot of the information is just lost information until you're more planted in the story. And you get planted immediately after that.
And also, if it opens with, it was the holiday when we got sweatbands with band names on, and then the last paragraph is talking about the fact that Mum could still remember the sweatbands.
Then my clever work on the band names comes further to the
Exactly,
fore,
yeah.
doesn't it?
Oh, there we go.
Yeah,
We fixed it.
yeah.
Just chop the first.
No, you're right. That
paragraph off.
first paragraph is, what a waste of words.
We should always do that, shouldn't we? Whenever we write anything, we should always just check out the first bit, because everybody does that.
9 out of 10 times, if you just get rid of the first bit, and it doesn't matter whether it's a novel or a short story or a flash or anything, you can generally just
chop it all off.
ditch it, because it's kind of the bit where you're wandering to the start line, isn't it?
Yeah. You're figuring it out in your head, basically, aren't you?
And we said that with a lot of people when they sent in the work in progress things, haven't we?
Yeah.
God, why don't you start in the second chapter when it's really kicking off?
I've got another question, Tommy.
Yeah.
What's your thinking behind the title? Because I wasn't sure about it at first, and I came up with a couple of theories about why you called it that. But I thought it'd be nice to know if you...
I'd be interested to hear your theories so I could latch onto one of them.
You see, I thought that bit was possibly the one part of the story that was autobiographical.
Oh, yeah, no, absolutely was, yeah.
Yeah, there we go. That's my thought, and it was correct. Thank you.
Ding.
Yeah, no,
Correct.
I'm asking the question, obviously, because it's a nice title.
I think because it obviously evokes of the Welshness and what have you, and it makes you think, well, what does this mean? And then it explains later down. And obviously, I was thinking sort of the idea of no parking within the life cycle is that we're not here, we're not able to, you don't choose to stay, you just where you are. And it's almost as if in life there's no parking. You can't just stay in a single moment.
Tom.
That's pretty good, because I literally just made that up now on the spot.
Yeah, I thought you did, but that's what I figured you were. Yeah, it's a reference to things just moving forward.
Yeah.
Inexorable flux.
Yeah,
works though. That does work as an explanation.
It does
very well. So,
but I thought if that is the meaning, then you have to make it work harder in the story.
Right. What if it wasn't? What's your other idea?
The other one was just the fact. Something about the foreignness of the sound of it, and being lost, and the mother being lost. I don't know. I can't quite. Bring it back together. But something about that.
Yeah.
But again, if that was the reason for it, make that work harder as well. It's like because the title it means so much, doesn't it? It has to. In a way, the best titles wrap everything up.
Yeah. And
you don't always know why when you first read it, but you do by the end. Like you go back and go, it's called that because of this.
Yeah.
And I wasn't totally sure.
No, maybe a wasted opportunity there.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a good title. I know what you mean. It's a good title in its sense, because it's a nice word phrase.
Yeah.
Questioning makes you wonder what's going on, but to lean on it.
To make it work, because then you're in a way you're understanding what this is about. Do you know what I mean? The title gives you an opportunity to go, right, this is the story. This is really where the story is. It's about the mom and how she's changed. And I don't want her to have changed. And then going back and rewriting it is easier, because you're going, everything I write here has to say something about change, or something about, the movement of time and the forward motion of life, or whatever. Does that make sense?
Yeah, you should have done that, Tom.
Yeah, should have done, shouldn't I? I need to get to the bottom of why I can't see things like this by myself.
I think you can. I think it is just, you definitely can. But I think it's coming back to things later, isn't it?
I suppose it is coming back. Yes, that's true.
It's like reading it now. You have an understanding of the bits that you really like in it, and the bits that you're not quite as sure about. And you literally just said it. You said about the end feeling a bit bolted on, and that's the reason. It's because it hasn't quite been set up.
If I just delete the end of my stories and the start of my stories and the titles, you're saying, I've got a chance.
But also a lot of it comes from your subconscious as well. So sometimes you are doing some of these things without really thinking about it, because that's just part of your skill set.
Yeah, part of the flow, isn't it? When you kind of in the middle of it all.
Yeah. Let's have the next one, Tom.
Go on then. Let's move on.
So the next one is called "It's Just a Bird," called Jemima. There's a bird in the greenhouse, just sat, a feathery bundle of brown. I think it might be dead. Until it spins, propelled by one good wing, to the back under the potting table. I'm the hero with a snow shovel that's going to set it free from its transparent prison. I scoop, it scuttles. I tentatively slide under and cautiously lift it over the threshold, instinctively knowing what I won't admit. It just rebundles outside on the cold paving stones, next to the bins. I dream about taking it into the garage, making it a bed and a tiny splint for its wing. I feed her. We bond. A few weeks later, she flies my nest, but of course, visits every summer for years to come, becoming quite the family story. And we're all sad when one year Jemima doesn't return. But instead, I try and shoo it. All it can manage is a lopsided, scuffy flounder under the ivy that pours over the small 5-brick-high wall. I haven't the guts to bludgeon it and put it out of my misery. I think about Googling how long a blackbird can last without food or water, but daren't because I don't want to know. I just bravely wait until after dark 2 days later to put the bins out, without looking under the ivy.
Now, did you... So I know part of this here is me trying to guess which one of these was successful, but did you also say that one of them was more grounded in reality than
this
the other?
one? Probably more so.
Because I can see you doing this.
No,
Tom.
this is probably one that's scarred me for life.
This again, great topic for Flash, because it's a very universal thing, isn't it?
Yes. It feels very visual, this one as well. It's very,
it is, yeah.
You know, you can.
But yeah, we're all prone to, cowardice and selfishness and, inertia, whatever.
All right.
But it's true, isn't it? But we're all good at justifying our worser instincts as well.
Yeah.
And we all want to think of ourselves as being kind and nurturing and rational.
Yeah, I think a little bit of this story was about facing up to that, about being honest with yourself.
I thought it was great. Great universal theme.
Initially, when I was writing this, I wanted to explicitly turn it into a parallel of dealing with people or someone, a loved one, in a end-of-life situation. But I pulled away from that.
Interesting. So you did a similar thing.
There are parallels with the other one, aren't there?
Yeah, didn't need it, yeah.
I think there's an element of Flash, isn't it? The more Flash we've sort of seen and read, some of the really good ones that hang with you are the ones that just kind of wave it in front of your nose and then leave.
Yeah.
You don't kind of...
I think you're right. I think it kept it really clean.
You can bring what you want to it yourself.
Yeah. But I think it's the simplicity of the language in the opening of this one compared to what we've decided was a superfluous opening of the other one. There's a bird in the greenhouse is the first sentence, and it's very...
It's actually a really good line, that, isn't it?
It is a very good line. There's a bird in the greenhouse, but you've got that sort of like simplicity of that opening, and then it goes into that sort of more dreamy part.
It does everything.
Taking it to the garage and making it a bed and feeding it and bonding with it. It's a nice sort of change from the simplicity of the reality, then to a nice long dreamy bit, and then back into
the abject misery of life.
Yeah.
But what I love about that, the fact that it, the whole story kind of centers around that, doesn't it, in a way, is that really wholesome fantasy, is that it almost makes the Flash piece a story about stories, about the imagination and the power of, like, future projecting. It's almost like, do you know what I mean? It's a story about writing in a way.
Yeah, no, that's what I wanted, that kind of, of trying to, what we do to convince ourselves, what we do to get over our conflicting, the human brain is ridiculous at being able to go, I believe this, and I also believe this completely opposite view, and I'm going to make sure that in my head, that's fine.
I'm the good guy.
Yeah.
But it sort of reminds me that we're often in love with the dream of becoming a best-selling author or whatever, but the actual hard work of doing it is a proper bummer, and it's quite it's a similar thing. It's it's a brilliantly universal idea. I love that line, I haven't the guts to bludgeon it and put it out of my misery.
Yeah.
It was brilliant. Because it almost feels like a Freudian slip. You kind of almost miss it.
Yeah, I love stuff like
Just
that.
that "my" is really nice. And you sort of reread the line and go, oh no, you did say that.
But I like the way it's very much about the difference between who we think we are and who we would like to be and who we are in reality.
It reminds me, I read a book a while ago called... like a psychology book called Mistakes Were Made, But Not By Me, all about cognitive dissonance and how we're able to justify, doing bad things after we've done them. It is a bit like that, isn't it? But what I like about it as well is that it's on a very small scale, but it's like it still matters.
Yeah.
You know, things like that matter to us because in the back of our minds, we're like, we're not quite the person we see ourselves as, or that we picture ourselves as. And we have to come to terms with it somehow. Good, that, Tom. Very affecting.
Can I tell you my favourite bit of writing? I'm going to blow my own trumpet for a second.
Yeah, definitely.
Go on.
In that middle paragraph, the changing of the pronouns.
Yeah, that is nice. It to her.
And then then gets a name.
Nice, like a little step up.
And then it's almost like you get back out of that dream and you want to go back to the
back to it. Back to an it again.
Yeah, that is nice, Tom.
For that cognitive dissonance. So, Judge Dave.
Right. So, this is hard now,
It's hard
isn't
now
it?
we've delved into them, actually, isn't it? It's much easier just skimming over the top of something and casting a view rather than being forced to think about things.
It really is. Judging from afar is a lot easier than actually having to get involved. Because my initial thought is that Dim Parkio was the one that would have progressed. But then now I'm thinking, actually, we've pulled that apart quite a lot more.
Yeah, I guess we have, actually.
Than the second one. But then is that a good thing? Because there was more to it to pull apart. Whereas, so I don't know. I'm going round in circles here. I'm going to stick with my first answer and say that Dim Parkio is the one that got published.
Well, interestingly, you are wrong, David.
Oh, bloody hell. Oh well.
So, it was the other one.
Well, that's another game lost.
It's usually me that loses the games anyway, Dave.
There wasn't a prize
that's
anyway, was there?
Into it is just on a fine line.
It's almost impossible to tell, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, I was going to ask this because if when it comes to entering competitions or submitting stories for lit mags or whatever, is there a strategy? I suppose the best thing to do is to read the stuff that has won already, isn't it, or that they've already published.
Yeah,
that is fairly obvious.
Yeah.
But and we're probably all a bit guilty of not doing that and just wanting to crack on. But all competitions and publications don't necessarily like the same things, do they? So
no, and
that
I
probably
guess
is the right way to go.
It comes back to what are you trying to do? If you're just going out desperately trying to win competitions, that's a different brief to I'm writing what's in my soul and putting it on paper and seeing where it sits.
Yeah.
And I definitely don't think you should try and win a competition. I think that is completely
I don't think you can really.
No,
I don't think you can.
But I think you can send certain things to certain publications or whatever.
Yeah, there'll always be something that fits one.
Yeah, better than another.
Yeah, and I guess that's about being more prolific as well, isn't it? Writing more stuff and having 15 stories to hand. You think, if I just deleted the first paragraph and the last paragraph of that one, so it wasn't shit, I could enter that one. Oh, I sent it. Bollocks! I forgot to change the title. But it's true. You can have different stuff that you think, that can fit in with that one a bit more, or that's the core of a story I can take to that, and that is about that in a way.
Yeah.
So just write. So, but are you telling me after all this, the answer is just write more?
Write loads of them. It's a numbers game.
Yeah. You just never know.
Yeah, and I suppose the other thing, if you're writing more stuff, you've got chance to let it sit in the drawer. And then you pull it back out, and then you're building on something rather than hurriedly finishing something in the last 20 minutes.
Yeah.
I think a lot of stuff gets recycled as well. Like if you do have a really good idea and you enter it and it doesn't do anything, but you like the seed of it, or you like, there's something in it that you really think is worth pursuing.
Yeah.
Then you can come back to it later. Like I think our first competition winner, no, maybe not first, second competition winner, that was a piece that she kind of rewrote, that she'd already written, but effectively rewrote with our criteria in mind. I think I might have
a bit of a psychological block on doing that. I think I've got once they're written, I think they've kind of gone.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a me thing or that's just
I don't think I can remember anything that I've previously written.
I think I'd really struggle to get something old out to rewrite it for something.
Why do you think that is? Because you're bored of it? You're done with it?
Because I think I don't know how to edit stuff. So I think, what am I going to do with that? I wrote that before. It looks a bit rubbish now. I can't change that.
Now you know what to do. You know what to do now,
I do
Tom.
know the two things to do.
It's easy.
Yeah.
There is a danger in rummaging around and pulling things out that you've done before. Because I've done that previously with adverts, where you get a brief and you go, oh, hang on, I've written something like that before. So you track it down, open it up and go, bloody hell, that was shit. What a load of shit. Did I write that? No, I can't do anything with that. So, yeah, it can be, it's a dangerous game.
Or you're taking a car ad that you're really proud of and trying to turn it into an ad for a golf course.
Yes.
Which doesn't always
Bit
work.
of crowbarring. So, yeah.
Join us on the Volkswagen golf course. Yeah, it might work. It might work.
Yeah.
So there we go.
Right, so what have we learned? We're meant to have learned something. What have we learned?
Oh, we learned tons there. Tons. Too much to go over.
Right,
Really.
cool. Is it back to the advice of just be yourself?
I think that is, basically you can't tell what the judges are ever going to be looking for at any given moment.
So don't try and second guess.
Yeah, just do something that you think is good, send it in, and cross your fingers.
I hate to say this as well, but we know this because we've judged our own competition, but some of it is quite arbitrary. Like sometimes you're just not in a great mood when you read something.
Yeah.
Or distracted, or...
Well, you've got no control over stuff like that, have you? Where you go,
you don't.
Oh, God, not another one about dementia.
Yeah.
Which is why it's good that we all read them, because we hope that they'll get picked up by the other person. And then you go, oh, God, that is actually really good. I totally missed that one.
Yeah. Well, this is the thing, isn't it? If you've got the time and the chance to give stuff a second reading, for example, depending on the mood, as you said, John, I might read the sentence, there's a bird in the greenhouse, and think, wow, what an evocative... What a great image that is. What brevity. What a brilliant sentence. Or I might go, there's a bird in the greenhouse, and think, what a simple, like uninspiring piece of crap that is. What a way to start a story. And just discount it. So
it's very mood-based,
your mood.
Very mood-based.
Yeah, exactly.
Have you entered any more since? Have you got any kind of lined up that you want to enter?
No, I feel like this is where we should have a little break and then come back and talk about what we've been writing.
Okay. Let's do that.
Hello, we've got a little favour to ask. If you know anyone who you think might like the Failing Writers podcast, please make sure you recommend it to them and get them to have a listen. Thanks.
So that was a little break, and then we said we'd come back and talk about what we're writing.
Is that because you've been writing something? Are you proud?
The idea was that we'd have this little summer break, and it'd give us a bit more breathing room and go on holiday or whatever, do some writing and stuff. I've had a terrible time of it with the writing side. I really have. Just had a proper, writerly existential crisis. You know, we just suddenly think, what's the point?
Oh, man.
And it goes from being that, God, I really should, if I just do an hour, I'll just get stuck back into something, to just thinking, do you know what? No, I don't want to. And going to the point of actually just going, I don't want to.
Yeah.
And then almost that it gets so bad, you don't even feel guilty about it.
Feels quite nice.
It is quite nice in a way.
Yeah.
No, there's a bit of thinking, well, what's happened there? Where's that? Because we got on a decent little bit of a roll and what have you. And so I don't know what happened. Maybe it's the podcast. Maybe I need the podcast.
Maybe because I think I'm right in saying, Tom, that of the objectives and goals that we set right at the start of the season, you're the only one to have actually achieved anything.
Well, I was rattling through them, publishing the book and writing
there
these,
we go.
Counting towards
That's it.
Yeah.
Never achieve your goals because clearly it takes away your motivation. I'm not sure if that really works as a learning, but there's the motto for the day. Never achieve anything.
Yeah. So no, I don't know if it's a case of just needing the impetus of coming back here and talking and saying, well, I've been writing this and writing that, because it's very easy to hide. It's back to this whole thing, isn't it? Of what we talked about in the Jemima story about the cognitive dissonance and kind of talking and going, well, it's fine. Yeah. Because there's no real consequence of not doing it, and you feel it's fine, and you've convinced yourself it's fine, and no one's going to ask you about it because we're not doing the podcast.
We are, in essence, justification machines. Really. We are able to justify anything that we do.
It's funny that you say that, though, Tom.
Or don't do.
I've had
Please say, because I was totally the opposite.
No, I've had a bit of a writing break as well.
Oh.
I feel like I'm still riding a sort of post-holiday, can't be asked with real life wave.
Yeah.
Which is weird, isn't it? I don't know. I found it quite hard. I did actually, the one little thing that I did, I remembered something that I wrote ages ago, and I'm talking maybe 15 years ago.
Oh, wow, okay.
A little project that I started. I thought that was good. Like it had potential. But I never quite finished it. It was a classic. Yeah, never, just sort of gave up. I've been sort of tinkering with that and trying to actually get it finished.
And what sort of thing is that?
It's it was sort of it was like a kid's poem.
Oh, okay.
But I thought it'd make quite a nice, maybe picture book.
Right. Oh, wow.
And it's a little bit dark and a bit sort of Edgar Allan Poe, but not as good, obviously.
Yeah.
And I could sort of see the illustrations, and they were very sort of Edward Gorey, pen and ink, cross hatching, all that, and all quite dark. But yeah, so I've started tinkering with that. But I'm, again, not been working very hard on it. But that also feels like procrastination in a way, because it's not the things that I probably should be working on.
Well, you just got to do whatever you can do.
Doing something is always better than doing nothing.
Yeah, that's true.
Because I think part of my problem is I've not had a project to work on. If something you can just go back, because that's what I'm doing. I'm writing this book or that book or this thing.
Yeah.
So I've not really set myself out anything to do. So then it's hard to do anything, because it's like it means starting a whole new thing or... Yeah.
And what are you doing? Because interestingly, talking about editing and that you find it really hard to look back on things and edit them. What are you doing with the kids' book? Because you effectively have finished writing that.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. I've been thinking about that over the last few days, and from not really knowing what might be wrong with it, I've decided that probably all of it is, and that it's a little bit of a disjointed mess without any real...
But that's just a first draft.
Yeah, I think that, it is. I think I just get very daunted by the idea of ripping up a first draft. I have enormous hubris and think, well, I've written it now. That's brilliant. That's done, isn't it?
And the hard work starts now.
How could it be possibly any better? Because that's what I wanted to write.
Think of the number of people we've had on this show saying, first draft, I just throw it away.
And that still makes me feel ill. Yeah, but it still makes me feel ill every time I hear it.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
But on the plus side, Tom,
yeah,
you read out a nice chunk of the beginning of that book, and it was great. And your daughter loved it as well.
Yeah.
Was it your mum or something said, stop messing about and get it written or something?
Yeah.
So there are people who are waiting for that to be finished.
All you need now is someone who's not related to you to say that it's good.
Yeah.
But in a way, I reckon at that point, you probably need to give it to a couple of people. If only there were a couple of people that you knew who were like sort of into writing and
someone whose opinion I respected.
Well, not necessarily that. I mean, that's
that's.
But yeah, someone that you could maybe just throw it over to, and they might give you some ideas.
Maybe I just need to be brave and just put it in the bin and start again.
I mean, you could do that.
Start again.
Do what people say works and see if it does actually work for me.
But don't you think those people have already sent it to their editor, sent it to somebody to read?
No, I don't think so. I don't
not necessarily. No.
I think it literally is just putting stuff out and then what you remember
If it's good enough, if it's good enough, the good bits will stay in your mind.
Do you know what I think I worry about though? I can remember the bits that I think are good, and there's some hilarious bits in it. There really are. But then I worry that I won't write them as well the next time.
What if you write them even better?
I don't think you need to worry about that, because you're not actually going to delete it, are you?
That's true. Yeah, it's all there to be copied back across or to pick and choose.
You can always nick the bits you love.
I think there is still a part of me that just think that sounds like an awful lot of work, because it is, isn't it? That's the unavoidable truth.
Well, yeah.
But one way of mitigating some of that work is by showing
by starting something completely new and ignoring
it. More exciting.
Go for the new shiny thing and just forget about that.
Have we all got ADHD? Is that what's going on here?
Well,
it's like classic.
It's bizarrely enough, I have actually been making some progress with writing.
Have you, Dave?
What?
Wondered why you were so keen to come back on.
Not huge amounts, but now I have actually I've been plowing through the book. Getting near the end.
Very good.
Getting near the end of the second draft. Having said that, the end was the part that needed the most significant changing.
Left that till the end. But, very clever. What have been the main bits you've been tweaking?
So I've been tweaking the fact that there were a few characters that I wanted to turn into one character.
Yeah.
To sort of simplify things a bit and to embellish some of the more sort of emotional parts rather than just being sort of, straight storytelling.
Nice.
But it's nice because, there are sometimes you get really tricky chapters that need quite a lot of work, and they're a bit of a slog to get through. And then you get to the next chapter, and it's like, this one's fine. This one's absolutely fine. I'll just go, and you just motor through that one. So then there's like a feeling of satisfaction and progress.
Did you read the whole thing coming back to it again? Or did you just kind of start at the beginning and start editing?
So I read it going back to when you guys read it as well. I reread it and started the process of the second draft. But that's a very long time ago. And it paused for a very long time. So we're getting there.
Excellent
well
stuff,
done,
right?
Dave. That's brilliant.
At least somebody's doing something.
It's hilarious how we do take it in turns, don't we? Like absolute maximum, 2 of us can actually be on top of stuff. Rarely 2, but that's the maximum. Not all 3. No. Usually 1.
Yeah.
It's nice. That is inspiring. It's nice when somebody says, "Yeah, I've been doing stuff."
Well, this is what I mean. I think I genuinely have missed the impetus generated by the podcast of just having a proper touch base. That's kind of like out in the real world of saying, I am doing this, or I'm working on this, and I'm going to finish X, Y, and Z. It's so much easier just to hide, isn't it, when no one's asking questions?
Well, that feels like a nice place to wrap us up.
Yeah. It's,
what do you reckon?
A gentle return to the podcast for the second half of season 4. Yeah, and we've got a few bits and bobs planned, some interesting episodes, and relatively pertinent to what we've just been talking about. Myself and John have been digging into the world of procrastination. So we've had a chat with someone whose book you read, didn't you, John?
I did. Oliver Burkeman, I thought might be able to help us get out of our little spirals of procrastination. It was a great chat, actually.
Yeah, it was. It was.
Did it help?
Illuminating. We probably need to listen to it again, don't we, and actually try and put some stuff into action.
That's a good shout, yeah.
And I don't know. I don't know if I was going to say ironically. I don't know if this has gone beyond irony, just to be self-referentially stupid. But after we've done the interview with Oliver, I've got another book that I've read on. I haven't actually properly read it yet on procrastination. I've got a book I've been intending to read fully on procrastination that has a few bits in, which is called "Solving the Procrastination Puzzle" by Timothy A. Feischl. PhD.
Oh, PhD. It's a highbrow book.
And his book is, from what I've read at the start, it's kind of distilled down. So it's quite, it's not academic as such, but you can tell it's written by an academic. But he's kind of just left out all the stuff that you would normally put in about, and here's this study and this proves that. So it's kind of like he's done all the hard work.
Yeah.
Take his word
for the brain science.
So when he says studies show, he doesn't need to list all the studies and go in the ins and outs.
Yeah.
Just trust
just
him. Studies do show.
Yep.
So it's kind of about just in your mind, really. It's probably going full circle back into. I should send him my "It's Just a Bird Called Jemima" story. See what he thinks, because it is just about not cheating yourself to some extent.
Yeah.
And realizing what the psychological barriers are that are in place as a human being, and how to just actively get over them.
Yeah.
I would imagine, if I read the rest of the book. So we'll maybe have a little chat about that.
Nice.
Well.
Sounds very good.
Lovely.
Look forward to it.
Well.
Thanks for joining us.
Yes.
And, we should probably mention we're not really manning Twitter anymore due to it becoming a toxic wasteland.
Yeah.
But we're concentrating on Threads and Insta. So if you want to get your little device out now, not that one.
Put that one away.
The other one.
Get the other one out.
But yeah, you can search at Failing Writers there and follow us. And be very nice to meet you and find out about what you're writing or what you're not writing.
Yep.
And also, if you haven't subscribed, also do that now. Hit that plus button. That's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
And if there's anything you want to tell us or share with us, head to the website, drop us a message, and there's a 50-50 chance that we will reply.
Someone might get back to you.
All right, people. Until next time.
Have a good one.
Take care.
Bye.
Hello.
Where's everybody gone?